Get out!
Hello tankers and tankettes, welcome to one of my heavy tank replays, and it's the E75. It's the second time I've actually shown the E75 on my channel. The previous one was in a double feature video with the mouse, and there's kind of a reason for that. I'm not really getting along with the E75. In theory it's really my kind of tank. It's got a lot of armour and the gun is pretty decent. You know, the gun has exactly the same handling stats, exactly the same DPM as on the VK4502B, but the E75 has got more mobility, and up until the VKB's buff it had really the better, well, the more effective armour as well. But having said that, even before the VKB's buff, I still enjoyed playing that more, and I don't know why, because like I said, in theory this should be a tank that really fits my playstyle. But somehow it isn't. Now that's not to say that I think this is a bad tank. I'm going to make that distinction right now, because a lot of people get confused when you say, oh, I didn't like this. They take that to mean, oh, I think this was bad. Because it's perfectly possible to not like something but acknowledge that that it was still good in some way. And conversely, it's entirely possible to acknowledge that you thought something was bad but that you enjoyed it anyway. Enjoyment of a thing and whether you think it's good or not are, separate things. They can be separate things. Not always, obviously, but, they can be. And the E75 is one of those examples. I don't think it's a bad tank, I just haven't particularly enjoyed playing with it. And I don't quite know why that is. Maybe it's... I mean, my memory of playing against these things back in the day, before even that you could get premium ammunition for credits, silver gold as I've seen it referred to, which I don't know, I quite like that phrase. It was tough, and yeah, this is a bit of early scout damage. I don't know why he isn't repairing. He's just gonna sit there and let me reload, so GG. These things were tough. These things were fearsome opponents, and it seems like everybody else's armour on the E75 is good apart from mine, so maybe I got the one faulty one, I don't know. Of course that's nonsense. I know that it's just I'm somehow not meshing with the playstyle, that I'm just not somehow doing quite the right things to get the most out of this, and I can't quite figure out what it is I'm doing wrong. Maybe I'll get there, maybe I won't. But actually, as it is, the E75 it's a lot like the Tiger II. I mean, the Tiger II I thought was an entirely competent tank. I thought it was fine, but it was never going to be one I was going to keep. And I actually think the E75 is exactly the same, that I'm probably not going to keep it. Once I get the E100, I'll probably put this crew in that and actually sell the E75, because it just doesn't do it for me. So a bit of sneaky damage in that IS-4. Our VKB seems to be in trouble, so we'll help him out. Slightly wary about being shot in the side, but no, those guys aren't there anymore. They've continued around that way, so that's fine. Now I am going to say, I mean, you might have spotted it already, 5-1. The enemy team was not good. The enemy team was actually pretty terrible. This ended up being a real ruffle stomp. It's also one of the rare occasions when I actually managed to get the E75 armour to really work for me. But there's about to be, well, there's going to be this moment of derp, which is pretty... Yeah, I'm actually shooting to his side armour. First I didn't pull the trigger when I had a lovely shot at his rear armour. Well, then I managed to bounce off his rear side armour, and now I'm going to get myself shot by a 121. I always said my shelf shot. I always went a bit Sean Connery there. I could have repaired my turret, but I decided, you know what, the turret's facing mostly forwards. I can back into cover. And I saw that coming, the 121 shot, but I don't know, I was just derping a bit there. That unnecessary ammo rack. Well, whatever, it's damage, I'll take it. 9-2, and this isn't really, it's not that this was a super awesome amazing match, it's that this was a high damage match, and also, I might as well tell you now, it was also my E75 ace tanker match, and that's purely because I did a lot of damage, basically. Oh, I don't know if you heard that, but that was the postman. Anyway, I've just spotted a lone IS-3, and I can be fairly confident against this guy. I think one of the things is that back when I was playing against these things first, when I started to get up to tiers where I could see the E75, it was fearsome because in those days you couldn't get premium ammunition for credits. And that made the E75 a really tough proposition. Like, coming up against this tank in really any of the tier 7s, it was pretty hopeless unless you could get around behind it. But these days, with the addition of premium ammo for credits, there's a lot of stuff that previously couldn't hurt you that can now just pen your lower front plate. And even though, you know, I try angling, and maybe I don't angle enough, or maybe I give people too much time, but I don't know, it just doesn't quite work for me. Anyway, the Lurver is trying to drown himself. Maybe he's an artillery player. I don't know. I always think it amusing in this game that, that you know, you can be on fire in the water. Anyway, I do my usual suicide prevention thing and stop him drowning himself, and I've walked away with a boatload of damage, and I really can't pretend that that was a good match. I mean, I needn't have been there necessarily. You know, I could have just sat AFK in the cap circle and we still would have won that really easily. But as it was, I got to mop up a lot of the tanks in town. I got to do a lot of damage, and that was an ace tanker, along with a high caliber and a steel wall. Was it really, you know, a deserved ace tanker? Well, it was a lot of damage, and considering I wasn't even top tier, that was not terrible. You know, our VKB, I don't quite know how he got in 4th place with only 985 damage done, but some of the tier 10s, you know, some of the tier 10s did all right, and there were a couple of people at the bottom that really didn't do much at all. But it's one of those battles where you're just scrabbling to do damage because everybody's dying so quickly, basically. And the fact that it happened to be an ace tanker game, well, I don't know. I would have preferred my E75 ace tanker to be a bit more close fought, to be a bit more, to display a bit more skill, I guess. That one just involved driving around shooting at enemy tanks that really couldn't hurt me, apart from obviously that one tank that shot me in the side. I mean, the enemy VKB could have penned me. I think even with the 248 pen that gun gets, there were moments when he could have penned my lower front plate. If he'd loaded premium ammunition, he certainly could have penned my lower front plate, but I don't know, it's just, it worked out how it worked out. Enemy fire was ineffective, and that last kill at the end was kind of funny. It was like that guy was just like, nope, screw this, I'm out, and I just denied him, even that. And, you know, being underwater and on fire at the same time. Oh, World of Tanks, you're so silly. So there you go. Not the most exciting replay ever, but it was my E75 ace tanker, so there's that. And it also let me talk about the E75 a bit, and maybe, you know, if you've wondered why there aren't really any of my E75 replays up, that's the reason. I just haven't had really any good games in it. It's not like the ST1 where I enjoy the tank, but I don't have kind of spectacular games in it. But it's kind of like it. The ST1's it's a very good tank at consistency. I do consistently well, and it's not particularly spectacular, but, you know, it's a good workhorse tank. It gets the job done. Whereas the E75, I just find myself struggling a lot. You know, it's for a totally different reason. And when I try to make the armor work for me, usually it doesn't. So I've ended up being a lot more cautious. And it's weird, because I'm actually playing more like the VKB, even before the buffs. Like I've already said, I enjoyed playing it more, and I definitely enjoy playing it now. That I could make the armor work for me there, even though in theory it had somewhat weaker frontal armor with a lower front plate. It just still somehow worked for me more than the E75 is working for me. So I don't know. Just one of those things. I don't know if it's just a mismatch in expectation with what I thought the E75 was going to be, and maybe it just doesn't mesh with my playstyle. That can be a thing. Not everybody is going to enjoy playing every tank, you know. There are enough vehicles in the game that you can pick and choose the ones that you actually enjoy playing. That's one of the good things about World of Tanks. Although, occasionally you'll end up having to play through tanks that you don't enjoy to get to ones that you think you might enjoy, and that can be a bit of a drag. But in this case, it's more curiosity for the E100. everyone said I'd enjoy the E75, and I thought I would enjoy the E75, and I'm not so much. But I'm going to stick with it because I want to try out the E100 as well. And I might have exactly the same problem. The mouse might always be my favourite tier 10 German heavy. In fact, it probably always will be. But I'm curious enough, you know, I've played few enough of the tier 10s that having another one in my garage seems like it would be quite nice. And I'm quite close now. I'm actually only about 30 or 40k away from the E100. And that tells you something. I've ground my way all the way, practically all the way through the E75, and I've put up, what, 2 replays of it. So if that doesn't tell you how I've been getting on with the tank, I don't know what else will. So if you liked this replay, you can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.